Right, hello everybody, and welcome to the 4v4 match between MSM and SmolPP. And these teams are being represented by the following players respectively. We're going to go ahead and start with MSM's lineup here. They are represented after being in each other's channels for whatever reason. Blaze, Mike, Ubermensch, and Warbringer. Now, of course, for Smol, we are going to be taking a look at their players here, as they are being represented by Falcon, Hans, Jacques, and Jska. That being said, as you can see, teams are highlighted up here. A little banter back and forth. Now, I have asked, I'm going to throw out a reminder to the players to rename their capitals to tag plus name. Thank you. That being the case, I hope you guys enjoy this match as much as we did with the Iron Man earlier today. It was an absolutely incredible game. That being the case, they are going to start renaming. And as you can see, Fog of War is enabled for this match of the Observer mod. We did go ahead and switch over between. Now, we do have Ubermensch over here with Istanbul. He is playing as the Ottoman Empire. Our player here for England is Jska, however. That is going to be some interesting reactions. We do have Hans here as well. To the south, you can see Lisbon there just below them, Zanzibar nearby. That double commercial, really close. That being Falcon as Rome over here. We also have Michael here as Mali. A lot of people really close by to one another. We do have double military CS to the north. Jacques here is playing as Nubia, has some really nice starting land. We'll get into everyone's start here shortly. This double, ooh, this is nice. So you do have the double industrial there, and we'll get to all of these beautiful, beautiful city-states later. Lots. 4 commercials, unbelievable. That being the case, we do have the Incans here. This is Blaze playing as the Incans. Antananarivo is right there. Double, wow, these city-states, goodness. This is quite incredible. This is going to be a really interesting lineup here between these two teams. Scouts coming online all across the board here. Not that I blame them in the least. Now, Ubermensch is going to have to be very careful here. It's going to be a really easy 2-on-1 from Smol onto him. So he's going to have to be very careful with the scouting, trying to figure out where to go, what to expand. He's going to have the extra blocking going on there. Now his nearest ally is a ways away. It's going to be a tight match. Now, of course, if the Mali are able to expand westward, it's going to be a little interesting because put a little pressure onto the backside of Hans's Egypt here. Going to be an interesting showing today. That being the case, we do have Jacques Nubia. up to the northeast. Looks really safe for now. However, Blaze is just below here with the Incans. But the terrain, looking at from what we can see so far of the map, it looks like Jacques is going to be very defensible, going to be able to sit back, farm up resources for the team to really help out the team and not have to worry about as much. But Blaze is in a similar position for this. That being the case, we do have the Roman player, represented Falcon here for Smol. The players are spread out, but not so much so that it'll be an issue. Warbringer, on the other hand, is all the way over here alone in this entire area, and that's going to be a really big game changer down the road, because this is really safe SimCity Central here. No one's going to be able to threaten Warbringer. There's no one nearby. It's going to be like I said, it's going to be really interesting to see how the teams choose to do this, because the biggest difference between team play and free-for-alls is, of course, that these teams are able to pool resources, work together, plan out who's getting what technology, what civic, in order to boost it for the rest of the team. Now, we do have a pretty early settler here coming out for our Egyptian player. But look at all the food. The city's just going to grow so quickly. It's just fantastic. Not a lot of production to speak of, at least at face value. But as tiles get improved, chops happen, that's going to turn around completely. And with the threat of the 2-on-1 against Istanbul, the Ottoman Empire by Ubermensch, that is going to be able to be a reality. They're going to be able to secure that and put additional pressure down. Of course, that could change with time. We'll have to see what happens. I mean, Jacques is honestly too far away to be going to threaten the Ottoman player. However, just below there is Mali and Blaze. But again, the terrain looks so defensible. People picking up goodie huts, lots of scouts coming out, as you can see here. A lot of things these players just can't see because of this fog of war. The hills are really helpful, but interesting. Interesting natural wonder just below Blaze there, but we'll have to see if anything can come out of it. Now, Jacques is going to be able to see Blaze's border here and realize someone's there. And with that, this warrior could even move onto this hill here to get a little bit of extra vision and viewing. But there is a settler coming out in 3 turns, though, as well as for multiple players. Jacques is going to take a little while longer. Seem to be focusing food over production for the time being. That said, let's take a look at, wow, this beautiful, beautiful start. Spices. Wish they were both hill spices, but man, that's beautiful. Wow. All right, builders are getting bought. Players are moving gold all across the board here, as you can see. Team 1 is juggling resources very quickly over to get their Ottoman player here, builders, in order. We go ahead, the Mount Vesuvius discovery over by Jacques, and we'll take a look at that in a moment. But as you can see, the team floated all that gold over to get the 2 builders out for their Ottoman player to get these tile improvements done, because these are going to be massive. As you know, irrigation comes down, those turn into plantations, and those will also be generating gold. And that gold is going to be a key factor in winning fights to the teams later, because once all that, if every player is generating, let's say 20 gold a turn, you have a team of 4, that's 80 gold a turn for your team. That's the pool of gold your team has. And that's the mentality these players need to bring to this match that you don't see in free-for-alls, and it's that unique perspective and interest. Alright, now we do have settlers coming out Next turn for our English player, which would be Jska. Now, Hans here is going to be settling to the east, having scouted eastward, settling toward the Mali player. A lot of similar colors on this spread. Oh well. In either case, this settle is going to be heading north. They don't know Jacques is there just yet. They do know the warriors over here, so they know it's in that direction. Blaze has a second settler coming out for this, and there's no escort. That said, they do know that it's relatively safe to the south and to the east, at least a little bit. And honestly, Warbringer is going to find that he's all alone in the world over there. So that's going to be SimCity Central. And Blaze is going to have to be on the defensive in order to keep that SimCity safe. A warrior does get purchased, however, to escort the settler. As you can see, all the gold floated over, and there was a little bit of extra. Another settler coming out very quickly for the Mali player. Monument coming out for Hans, though, going for that culture play. Looks like the team has asked him to take charge of culture. Now, unfortunately, sooner or later, this warrior is going to come in contact with these builders over here and the soon-to-be settler, and it's going to be pressures on. Hey, Blood Appleson, how you doing? Welcome to the match. Hope you enjoy it as much as I've been casting these, because the Iron Man we did today was absolutely phenomenal, and I can't wait to see another match of the same caliber. Settler comes online for Jessica's England, and it looks like this is indeed going east toward the Mali player. You can call Grapefruit. Alright, Grapefruit, not a problem. Next turn, Settler coming out for our Ottoman Empire, but the double builder, that's going to make a big difference early. Getting those tile improvements, is the sooner you can do it, the bigger the difference it makes. 2 turns for Jacques, but did go a double scout, triple scout open. That said, Settler goes south for Blaze. Warrior crosses the river while Jacques crosses onto the bananas here. It's going to be interesting to see where the settle chooses to go. Lots of goody huts around. That being said, let's see what we can see of Warbringer's land so far. Has the isolated start, tons of hills with trees to chop, has the marble. Unbeknownst to iron nearby, horses as well, more iron. Definitely going to be the one supplying resources for the team here. Has a coastal start on the bit of an edge of a peninsula, but tons and tons of room for expansions. We're going to see an infinite city sprawl, I imagine, from Warbringer, while he fuels the economy for his team, as we previously thought. That said, however, we do have Jacques going eastward and slightly northeast as well. Going to get tons of city-state meets, and this is going to make a big difference, even though no one will get the initial first meet envoys. Oh, should have ended. That's set to auto end. I don't know why it's not. Settler comes online for the Ottoman Empire player. England's warrior is right in everyone's face. That said, there is back-to-back settlers. You know, Grapefruit, will have to see what happens, because before we're doing predictions with the Iron Man for things we thought were surefire victories, I'm telling you, Dutch did an amazing job holding on and dragging out that war. Really made me eat my words when I thought he was going to buckle. I'm MSM, that's why. There's nothing wrong with cheering for your team. Definitely is going to be an exciting match for this. I'm not going to lie, looking at the initial spread, MSM are favored because they have the isolated player. No, Jacques is also isolated, if for no other reason than land. Like, look at the terrain here. These mountains are causing huge separation. Warbringer's Khmer is really good if no one gets in his way. No one's going to be able to get in his way. Because this is all coast behind him. You can see the edges of the water here. And how this is opening into a delta. So he's completely isolated and incredibly safe. That said, next turn we will have the settler out. It will be very interesting to see because and the reason for this is because we have two players that could have an isolated start, relatively speaking. One much more so than the other, but Jacques really isn't going to have to defend unless Blaze gets aggressive in his direction immediately, and Jacques is already looking to settle this way. That said, Hans is looking to kick out another settler immediately as well. The warrior comes out, Slinger coming behind, looking to guard the builder here, as they are trying to protect these. However, while threatening the improvements, the settler is going to skirt off and get an uncontested settle. And that can be a very big difference. That said, Jska getting some great scouting in here, finds Lisbon. Going eastward, going to find Zanzibar. First city goes down for Gao, or Mike for MSM. Second city accompanied by a scout heading westward here. Plenty of settle spots with the fresh water along that river. Looks like Jacques is choosing to settle northeast, not wanting to fully give away his position. However, Blaze is looking to settle north, going straight into another settler. Tons of mountains here to use. Of course, some beautiful, beautiful campus adjacencies. Builder coming out for Warbringer here. Blaze being greedy. Yeah, I mean, that's very greedy, but look at the scouting that's been done so far. He has these units to keep Falcon's warrior in check, at least relatively speaking. Doesn't know exactly where, but this scout wasn't seen going over. So they could look to do some backstabbing shenanigans later. But just remember that this is an impassable natural wonder. One tile, but with these two mountains here, it completely locks off any nonsense. Now you could come in through here or even around. Who knows? They might even find Warbringer at some point to the further east. I imagine war decks are going to come out to try and deny scouting soon. But we'll have to see on who wants to make the first move. That said, Jska does have another settler coming out in 3 turns. There is a scout right here by Ubermensch though. And even still, Jessica's warrior threatening to mess with any builder shenanigans that go on these tiles if they're not willing to guard. Looks like the warriors wanting to try and chase down the settler, at least to find out where the city's going to be placed. That said, we do have a 1-turn holy site coming online for our Mali player. That is going to be a 3-faith holy site. Declaration of war. MSM declares. Yeah, naked settlers. You know, we used to scream at people all the time about that. So the war declaration goes. That means Smol is going to get the boost for defensive tactics. Kicks out the scout. Kicks out Jessica's warrior as well. Lets the slinger leave the city. Moves the warrior up to guard the 4-2. And with that, the Ottoman Empire player here in Ubermensch has successfully locked his lands down, at least for now. Now this is going to become an issue once that trader tries to go to the other city he's about to settle. And they're going to have to guard that somehow if they can. Otherwise, that's going to be a very valuable raid as far as a pillage. Now, that said, England having trade route access with Egypt is going to be big, simply because of the bonus that Egypt brings to the table through trade routes. However, Blaze has managed to drive off Jacques at least a little bit. Look like going for the settle on the warrior if at all possible. No, brings the warrior back onto the 2-1 here. Going for the Mount Everest settle perhaps on this 2-1 hill. Would not be a bad idea. That passive faith generation is going to get a very nice pantheon. That said, lots of goody huts getting discovered. One turn holy prayers coming out. We're gonna have to see who's gonna get that religion. We do have Mali and Khmer going for it. Who will get there first? Now the Mali player is also on the same team as the Khmer player, so they're looking to really deny and shut down early religious choices and picks, as well as get those really key pantheon choices they want, because they'll have the better faith generation, unless of course a relic's been picked up by a goody hut. Now, with that being the case, we do see Mali take religious settlements for a pantheon. No one else is there quite yet. However, times can change. And with that in mind, looks like Ubermensch is getting close to where they want to settle in order to plop that city down. Jessica's warrior retreating a little bit to deny the slinger harass. More slingers coming out. We do have a warrior at the capital to escort the settler. The extra settler was delayed to guard and escort it so it doesn't get stolen. Falcon here for Rome is getting some pretty good scouting done here, actually. Has a trader going even. Crossing the river, that'll help. It's a real shame, though, if only for the fact that it didn't cross multiple rivers, which it wouldn't have. It would have gone like this, more than likely. But because when you make your roads, you want to cross as many rivers as possible, cut through hills, because it cuts down the movement cost by a lot. Egypt City would be a bit better if it had some production, but it's a good settle. So that really depends on what pantheon gets chosen by Egypt, right? Because these are floodplains. River Goddess does give a production to floodplain tiles. So the second city could end up generating a great deal of production depending on what picks are available when Hans is able to select the pantheon. That said, we do have more military units coming online. Probably going to buy the truffles. Perhaps. It'd be a good buy. I mean, they know that the enemy is right there. We do have more holy site prayers coming out for both Khmer and Mali. So they're really looking to raise up the price of the Great Prophet, looking to grab the first two. I am highly interested in finding out what their choices are going to be for religion. Hopefully there won't be an issue of them wanting the same thing, but we'll have to wait and find out. Now, we did have a builder come out for Jacques, get the horse up, sheep's online for the 3-2, and those two 3-2 tiles are absolutely beautiful. I'm going to get a third on this hill sheep. Open sky probably a priority for Jacques, but we'll have to see if they're able to get it. Taking a look over here at Warbringer, took River Goddess. Mike's going to get Defender of the Faith. Yeah, it's definitely a solid pick. You're right in the enemy's face. You know you're going to be doing a lot of fighting and combat. And honestly, with how defensible Mike's terrain is, I mean, that's going to be a really rough war. It's going to be really, really rough. That's why I'm still convinced they're going to try and do the 2v1. But with Molly settling aggressively, oh, buys the truffles and the 1-3 hill. Take a look over here between Jacques and Blaze. Blaze is trading blows here with Jacques and the Warrior. They do get Kitakara down, and that passive faith generation is going to be really nice. It's absolutely free. Warrior coming out next turn. Builders scooting out, looking to get things done and ready. And welcome everyone who just joined the stream. I hope you guys are having a great day. Hope you loved the Iron Man match earlier, and this is the 4v4 between MSM and Smol. And look at that. That grab, that tile grab with the holy sight. That was absolutely amazing culture bomb right there. A lot of value. And there is a natural wonder here. That's Piopiotahi, which is the culture and gold to adjacent tiles. So a city down here eventually is going to be an amazing generation tool. Warbringer is going to be generating a ton of gold, a ton of culture for the team. It's just going to be a phenomenal run. That said, Jacques here is nothing to scoff at either, getting another settler out while the builder skirts around. The capital is going to repopulate very quickly. It's going to maintain good production the entire time. And it's honestly an excellent city to do settler pumping from, based on its tiles. That said, Falcon does have a scout up here near Blaze's capital. He's going to have to be very careful with this builder. That said, you know, has the 3 cities down. Probably looking to get a 4th out as soon as possible. That said, Kume comes down to the west. Rabin has got 2 builders cracking out a bit, plus 1 back home. We do have a barracks coming for this encampment, which is absolutely awesome. There's the first great profit of the game for Mike. Next one is most definitely going to be picked up by the Khmer player there. No one contesting just yet. Taking a quick look around here, we do have quite a few improvements here. Lady of the Reeds and Marshes. Wow, this is beautiful. Look at these sphinxes. 2232. And look at the like 2242. These are beautiful. Beautiful improvements. This capital's already 6 pop, quickly on its way. Pingala is being initiated immediately. Settler's going to be coming out soon for Ubermensch in order to get a 3rd city down. One of the builders scooting over to the new city. This one coming over to the stone, it looks like. Already has the road to cut through all of these hills in order to get to Sivas. That being the case, we already have a galley coming out here for Jska. That's going to get some key scouting done. And maybe even a little bit of harassment on the capital at some point. We'll have to see. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it, Grapefruit. Alright, we do have religion being formulated right off. Second profit is going to get picked up by the Khmer player as expected. Already scooting on over. I am very interested to see what the choices are going to be for these players as things goes on. I'm very interested in the religious choices. Alright, Mike's choices are Reliquaries and Defender of the Faith. Alright, good call, Grapefruit, on Defender of the Faith. Relics have triple yield for Faith and Tourism. Our Molly player sitting on 90 Faith. How much Faith a turn are we looking at here? 17.8 definitely has a relic. We do have Chariot Archers coming out from Hans here next turn. And this is going to start plugging these scouts. Now these hills are a pain for Chariot Archers. However, with these roads down, It's not going to be too difficult. That said, Mali does have archers coming out in this direction, so our Egyptian player Hans is going to have to be very careful. Trader coming out for Jska. Plymouth is planted down. Hopefully going to see plenty of tile improvements coming out if possible. Oh, Chariot Archer nukes the scout as it moves. Slingers being upgraded to archers here for Ubermensch. Recognizing the threat of having two players nearby, decides to go ahead, get himself ready. However, Hans, I'd play more defensive and focus on simming. I mean, there you go. Switches over from the Chariot Archer to the Settler. 2 turns left. But look at how large this city is at 6 population already. That means this city is able to work 6 tiles, which is beautiful. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and more than likely 6. Maybe even the bananas. Who knows? But probably working the 2, 2, 3 for the gold as well. And with that in mind, it's going... This city's just cranking things out yet. He can see Niter yet? No. Cannot see the Niter. The tiles won't reflect the improvement until they can. This, like for example, a Niter on a Plains tile is not a 1-1 with a Niter on it. It shows as a 1-1 for them because that's what they can use it as, is a 1-1. So that 4-2 is going to be even better when Niter Tech gets unlocked, and that's a mine. That said, we have encampment training going on from Jacques, looking to get a general down. Getting a bit of a forward settle against Blaze here. Blaze pushing back a little bit with a promoted warrior and a scout. Oh, look at that beautiful, beautiful farm. Terrace farm at a 5 food, 1 production. Warrior is looking to chase a scout down because the encampment got pillaged. That said, Warrior is escorting the builder in the south. Taking a look at our Roman player. A couple of slingers waiting in the back line for the scout. See if it gets spicy. It's going to end up spotting the slingers, though. Archer coming out for the encampment here. We're going to have to start looking at generals soon. That being the case, what have we got to look at? Just Rome going for it. Get a project out. Jacques not far behind. We might see them try to do a pincer attack on Blaze. Could be a timing attack. We'll have to see. Legions are nothing to scoff at. Slinger moves forward, takes a shot. Other one gets promoted. Gonna have one heck of a time butting the scout off of the encampment. That said, we do have double archer from Mali, which will be, at least one will be spotted. Chariot archers moving forward in the defense. Settler comes out, switches right back to the Chariot archer. Lots of units coming out here for England. Triple warrior, double galley, scout out and around. These galleys are going to be causing all sorts of problems to this capital city for Ubermensch if he's not careful. The 2 archers should be able to drive it off. That being the case, we do have end of era in 7 turns. What are the points looking like? $25, $37 for Blaze, $25 from Heinkel, Warbringer 25, 18 Ubermensch. Looking at Team 1, 25 for Hans, 24 for Falcon, Jska 29, 27 for our player Jacques. What does that mean? Well, you only need 19 plus for a golden age, so everyone is looking great. We're not going to see any dark age starts. Not going to have to worry about that. That being the case, take a look around here. We have 3 archers out for Ubermensch. He does have a settler coming out next turn. That's going to be very good for him. Definitely needs to get more cities down. I'm really curious as to what's on this little peninsula here. You can see the coast churning back in there and carving into the landscape. I am interested to know and see if how many settles. See if it's just 1 settle he'll be able to get there or 2. We will find out. Looking to go in that direction. That said, lots of units out for Jska here. Getting that monument in the capital. Do have Liang getting sent to Plymouth right away. That being said, in the east, our Roman player not looking to get another city down, instead going for that general. Now, Nubia is contesting Rome for it. Nothing for scientists just yet, but we do have plenty of faith generation from both our Khmer player and our Mali one. That's being the case, we do have the second religion up now. We do have Jesuit education for the campus and theater square district buildings can be purchased with faith. That's an absolute and valuable resource, as we saw during the Iron Man free-for-all, where Brazil was just buying out libraries and universities with faith. And with stewardship, just having the campus and commercial hub in a district or a city you've converted, that gives you an additional science and gold, which is absolutely amazing. That being the case, Falcon has found Warbringer and has recognized the threat of, oh god, he's alone. How are you going to threaten this? That being the case, we do have some pretty interesting settle choices here. Double tapped. Warrior is chasing down the scout on the road, able to get the hit onto the tile. Another warrior coming out next turn. Taking a look back out west here, we do have Blaze getting more units out here in the forms of archers and another warrior. Moving more builders around as well on the side, keeping the warrior down here to keep an eye on Falcons, and Hattusa's even joining in the stare-off. That being the case, we do have a suzerain already for Hattusa, and that is going to Blaze. That being the case, we do have encampment training back once again. Keeping an eye on the points here. Do have a number. We have 3 players going for generals now. It's going to be interesting to see if there's going to be a snatch for a double general or not. And it looks like our England player for Jska is looking to get a lot of scouting done. Chooses to keep the other galley home and sends this one around to scout. That being the case here, looks like Ubermensch is going to be able to scoop up yet another goodie hut back here, and might even get a second settle back here as well. And that's going to be absolutely amazing, because these will be relatively safe unless England goes for full naval combat. Which very well may be possible, if for no other reason than to jeopardize Ubermensch entirely. That said, there are cliffs along all this, so any land unit shenanigans are not going to be possible. That's probably one of the longer stretches of cliffs I've seen in quite some time. That said, we do have builders skirting around first. General Hannibal Barca does go to Jacques. Meanwhile, we have legions in the south, and they are moving forward. Got to be careful with this. We already have the second general out in Boudica. Will Blaze be able to get it? I'm not sure, because Rome is still making encampment trainings. Blaze may not be able to get... No, he's not going to be able to. The encampment training's taking 2 more turns. That being the case, we do have double archer here to deal with Jacques' scouts. Ooh. Warrior forced to retreat to Kitakara in order to heal. We're going to have to wait and see exactly how this is going to play out. Jacques here is looking to get some potato archers in order to pressure. Interestingly enough, Ubermensch decides to pull. Pulling units into a defensive formation here, almost into a V, while using the scout to kind of keep an eye on Jessica's units. Looking bad for Blaze since Defender of the Faith got taken. Yes, Defender was picked up by his ally, though. Victor in the city, 3 archers. No missionaries out just yet, but Mike looking to drop a 4th city above, settling also in the same direction as Jacques. However, again, look at this land. I mean, they can't attack across it. They'd have to go all the way up and around through this one tile pass. And Jacques could defend that forever. It's all hilly, it's really difficult to move reinforcements through. And even then, they'd have to go all the way around Mount Vesuvius. So the attack route would be almost impossible. Blaze is not going to get any reinforcements for this unless it comes from Warbringer. And it looks like the Falcon is going to get the pillage on these horses next turn. Legion are moving forward with the help of Sun Tzu, though. And that means that Falcon was able to secure both great generals for the classical era, while his ally picked up the 3rd. El Cid is going to be the first medieval general up for grabs. Nothing going on for science just yet. Mali has Simland. Yeah, I mean, Mali really does have Simland. That whole defensive talk I was talking about for trying to attack into Jacques works the same way. However, you have some aggressive settles coming in from Egypt. That's going to threaten things if you're not careful. It looks like they're going to go to bash Hattusa here with these legion. Arch-Legion combination going to be absolutely devastating to take care of this. Han's moving the Naked Settler down south in order to get another city out. We do have more galleys coming in. It looks like Jessica might be going for, interestingly enough, a caravel push, because our Ottoman player here in Ubermensch isn't going to have anything to defend against it. However, Jessica might find herself on the short end of the stick if she's not careful, because Hans is going to have to contend with the Mali player, Mike. Otherwise, Mike will have free sim access for the entire game, because Jacques can't really threaten. Has the scout to do some pillages, but sooner or later that'll get caught by archers, and it's not going to be a reliable fix. That said, we do have a general and a couple potato archers. Does an Ottoman have 100% production for siege weapons? Yes, it does. It does get the bonus for siege weaponry production, which means boats could get shut down relatively quickly. However, if you don't choose to tech to it, that's a whole nother thing, because you can't make it if you don't tech for it. Because the team might be saying, hey, we need you to tech for this. We're teching for this stuff. Yes, it does stack multiplicatively. That said, sword does come out for Blaze. That's going to increase his city strength by a considerable amount. And that being the case, we do have horses coming out for Jacques. So we're going to see a horse push backed with potato archers from our Nubian player onto our Incan player. We have another settler coming out of the capital here in 2 turns for Blaze as well, looking to secure those cities safely. Hattusa is in a lot of trouble. Oof, yeah, Hattusa's toast. That said, Horseman does come out for the Mali player as well. Lots of good things going on here. Lots of good teamwork. You guys can see on the banners gold floating and being passed around. dedication really quick. That won't impact anything. Now, Halep gets thrown down here in the background. Now, it's an interesting settle because there could have been 2 settles back here. However, Ubermensch chose to go for just 1 based on placement. Because there could have been 1 here and there could have been 1 here. I wonder what the decision-making process was for that as to why the choice to settle here was taken. Now, settling on the iron guarantees the iron generation. Perhaps it was that. But in a team game, it's harder to tell because they're planning in voice as well. Because they're in their own separate voice channels with their team. That said, we do have some suzerains coming up. We're going to take a look at that. Less cities to defend. This is true. That's one way to look at it. Lisbon was picked up by Jska. Falcon took Bandar Brunei. And that's going to give Smol 2 of the 4 commercial city-states. Hattusa is getting bashed incredibly hard. Warriors trying to chase down the scout here. Oh, Hanging Gardens in 3 turns from Warbringer. That could be a really big swing. This city is going to be massive as it gets more population to work these tiles from the Wonder. Hattusa's defeated. You know, really expected. Hanging Gardens gets completed by Warbringer through a chop. We do have another settler out for Blaze. We're going to have to see where it's going to end up going. If it's going to go over here where the warrior is or down here to these warriors. That being the case, it's likely to be a more defensive placement because Hattusa was just taken by Legion. They did have the suzerain in order to see it happen. Mike, meanwhile, getting a missionary, looking to push that Defender of the Faith to good use. There is a very good chance these Legion are going to come through this 1 tile pass and around from the bottom. And they're going to do some sort of pincer attack onto Mike. That being the case, Jacques is looking to put pressure on Blaze, so Blaze won't be able to help. Will Mike be able to hold this? With Defender of the Faith, having the extra combat strength will help against the generals, but Legion are naturally stronger as well. And then there is, of course, the bonuses from Oligarchy. But taking a look at the culture, you know, Rome matching the Khmer player tooth for tooth here and even being better in science. The Roman player here, he could really do a whole lot. Falcon could get a lot done this game. Mike could send the missionary to Blaze. I mean, so Defender of the Faith, right? It's your combat units, not your friends, that get the bonus. Temple of Artemis picked up by Falcon as well. I mean, this is, wow. Builders getting chopped. You have a trader coming out in Gao. I think Mike's starting to realize the seriousness of the situation. Another missionary has come out now. Need to get more religious spread here for the Defender of the Faith, but is definitely going to need more combat units. Alright, does manage to get the religion there. Hopefully we'll be able to convert Nyoro as well to get that bonus. Is a lot of risk going on here. We do have a scout coming up following the road from the trader. Double Admiral out already for England. Not a big surprise. Not many people are going to bother with the dockyard. However, with the golden era, the golden age for the era, that dockyard is giving extra science as well to the England player. Which means our England player is sitting at 14 science and 10 culture. Han's looking very solid at an 18-18. Smol is looking at an excellent position to be standing here. Lots of pressure created around the map, actually, not just in specific areas. This is an excellent contain against Mike. They don't know about this land here being so perfectly simmy. Let's take a look at the religious lens. Does manage to spread. Okay. That being the case, Hansa's culture and science continuing to rise. Rome's science and culture continuing to rise. Small is doing an amazing job of getting those early edge out leads. Even though Warbringer here has an amazing cultural wonder, even has another settler coming to go over here somewhere in order to get even more of it. That said, there are builders doing plenty of chops and mines placements. And it looks like we are arguing for city-states now. Now that said, we do have Nubia going to hit Hong Kong. Breaking off from Blaze, seeing the sword in place with the archers fortified, decides to go out and swing and grab a city-state nearby, keep up the offensive pressure. Has made space in order to go ahead and safely do that. Another horse coming in behind has the warrior at Napata in order to keep an eye on things. Double trader going out on their routes now out of Jin. Horse and the archer looking to get some damage done here. Defender of the Faith is in effect now. More builders coming out. We do have the Oracle in 3 turns. Scout chose to break off the road early in order to remain out of sight. And more builders coming out. As you guys can see, gold's getting floated around. That said, we do have the campus coming online next turn. We are going to take a look at the Great People points. Now, Rome is looking to capitalize on this and get a scientist point of turn at the moment. However, will not be the only one anymore. With that in mind, another settler out for the England player. Where will it go? It's probably heading north to contest with these units. But Jessica's going to have to be careful to not bite off more than she can chew. There are a lot of units back here between a sword and the 5 archers and of course the warrior itself. And we'll see, based on the city strength in the capital for Ubermensch, that an upgrade has taken place, and these archers are moving aggressively forward with the sword. The warrior on the hill is going to spot this. Jessica's going to have to figure out what is going to be the game plan. Sitting on 4 cities, almost 5. Her ally to the east does not have much in the way of military right now, and has had to pull back away from Mike. That Defender of the Faith completely driving it off. However, the legions from Falcon are coming in from the south and the east, even using a warrior and archer in order to stave off Blaze's warrior frenzy here. Has an archer coming over as well. We do have the settler heading to the southeast now that the space has been created, and of course we have this settler heading over here. May take the settle here, may settle further forward, we still do not know. Take a look over at Warbringer. Has another settler out to get City 5 out. City 4 is going to go up presumably next turn or the turn after. Only one way to find out. We do have an archer coming out next turn. Granary coming up in the capital there in order to get more population faster. Extra housing. So this way more of these tiles can get worked and get more value out of them. This is a very good team match. This is really highlighting what it is to play as a part of a team. That said, we are coming into turn 36. Oracle gets picked up by Hans, uncontested, no issue. However, the double warrior on the hill with the archer backing behind on the flat ground is not going to be much help. However, these archers shooting into these warriors, this could backfire for Jessica if she's not careful. Builders getting out, getting ready to chop, it looks like. Looks like Jessica was in charge of making gold for the team with the double adjacencies. Like, this is absolutely beautiful, this 5 commercial harbor. Commercial harbor. Woo! Commercial hub. But there is a harbor. It counts. Do have a horse coming out next turn for Hans. That's going to help beef up that city strength a lot, which is badly needed. However, because it was pushed off, he was pushed off and back, Mike's been able to completely turn onto Falcon now, who only had a handful of units in position in order to come through. And if he's not careful, he's going to end up getting picked off one by one. That being said, Victor coming into the city. Metusa has recovered. Archers in position to stave off the warriors. They have moved back and around. Archers staying on the hill with the ivory here. We do have a sword coming in the background. Ayashushu gets placed down in a more defensive placement because of this. And unfortunately, Hong Kong is going to go down this turn. We do have some city-state shenanigans going on in the background with envoys. When Hong Kong drops, we'll take a look and see, because they're going to get a flood of notifications. And we'll take a quick look at that. There goes Hong Kong. We do have archers and the sword moving forward. Now that Jska sees the sword, what will be the game plan? Chooses to promote the warrior. The archer cannot shoot over the hill. Is going to have to move back, as our Ottoman player here is using the space created by the team in order to push down. We're going to take a quick look at the great people here. Who is going for the scientist? It looks like it's between Ubermensch and Falcon right now. It is going to be incredibly close to see who's going to get it. It'll depend on projects. However, right now, the Ottoman player here in Ubermensch, he has tons of space. He even has an extra sword to come down with. And these 5 archers, 6 archers, are going to do a ton of damage. Most of Jessica's military is in a navy. That will not help. Now, that being said, could use 2 galleys to repeatedly ram this city here. Could even use 3 and switch them out as needed. That would be one way to use these extra galleys. That being the case, we have horses coming now from the Ottoman player Ubermensch. Looking eastward, we have more chariot archers coming. 2 horses on the field as well. They are heading east. We'll have to see what happens here. That looks like they are committing to the legions advancing against. Now, Mike has put the archer here to try and block out, hopefully trying to switch out with the warrior onto the hill. Otherwise, this legion, even with the river and hill bonus, is going to end up really hurting this archer. That being said, I mean, Egypt is pulling incredibly far ahead in culture. Does get the switch out, but not after the legion hits it. Almost one-shots that archer. That being said, that legion takes a good chunk out of the health of Gao. Oof, big hit onto the archer from the one in the city center. Walls are coming up, though. Settler moving north. We do have another missionary on the field. Defender of the Faith is really all that's saving some of these units. That being said, this is going to be a very difficult time for Jessica to defend. She needs more units. Has archers coming out of the capital, that'll be great to help. But without swords or something similar in order to push against our Ottoman players' swords, is really going to have a hard time. That being said, Jacques has another settler out looking to get another city claimed and down. Horses are just recovering right now. However, the archers are getting into position in order to cause some shenanigans with Blaze to keep him in check right now. Now, Blaze has managed to create some pressure on the Roman player, but unbeknownst to him, there are 2 settlers out, 3 horses on the way to cause problems. This is not going to be resolved easily, and that's for sure. That being said, Warbringer has been forced to make some combat units in order to deal with Jacques' scout. The previous scout seems to have died. That was Falcon's. And we do have a shrine coming up as well. It is going to be a very, very interesting time here as we take a look around. Archers coming out for Mike in order to aid in the defense. Settler is sitting tight for now. Walls come online for Gal. This could be a really big deal here. Archers having to duck onto the Niter in order to get out of line of sight. That being said, this legion is being harassed from across the river. Chops coming out. One turn left till the archer's done. Archers seem to be holding the line for now. Jska getting more units out, getting into a defensive position. Use those support bonuses. That is what's going to keep your warriors alive if you're able to. That being said, market going down in the background at the capital. Nope, switching over to archers. Purchasing it. Alright. Gold being floated around the team in order to try and keep their England players safe and in the game. It looks like England was meant to be their moneymaker player. Government plaza coming up for Hans. Hans doesn't really seem to be militarizing that much. And I wonder if that's really a good idea or not. Because they're trying to pressure Mike between a pincer attack right now. And they're also trying to alleviate pressure from Jska. And with that in mind, I mean, Hans is going to need to make some more military units in order to support this. Or even go for a wild backswing against the Ottoman player Ubermensch. Plenty of stuff happening top of the turn here. We have builders coming out, archers on the ready. Lots of hits going on here. Does get the promotion under the Legion though. We do have a couple of chariot archers heading out, but other than that, not a whole lot. And with the hill is going to be able to see on the flat land there. Chariot archers are coming. Chooses to move down anyway, even though knowing that the chariot archers could hit next turn. Jessica's still going for this market, hopefully making a lot of units out of this capital city here, or I'm sorry, secondary city of Birmingham. Is going to need them. Scout does get picked off. So Settler is linked up with the sword, is looking to try and push this back a bit, it looks like. Mother Horse coming out next turn is going to have to be careful. Jacques has another Settler, plenty of builders running around, another Settler up here. Moving the horses with the general along with the potato archers. Kitakara having walls coming up soon. More potato archers coming out. And here come the horses. Now this one's staying with the Settler heading northeast. Lots of Settlers kicking in the background here for the Roman player. This could be a lot of really good things. I mean, that being said, it looks like Mike will have successfully defended this push. The question is how far behind did Mike have to be in order to defend? But even if the economy buildup is slowed, I mean, the safe space is here. Library coming on down. All these admirals coming on through for England. Not a big surprise. First scientist is likely to go to the Ottoman player, getting the library even to help secure things. This is pretty risky having the Settler so close to the front line. Yeah, I move the Settler back. Chariot archers coming over. The end of the turn. Horses coming out for Hans as well. Double sword back to the scout for the support bonus. Has the archer next to it. Chops heading on out. Puts the walls up in Halep immediately just in case of some shenanigans. Do have the horse leading the way for another Settler out there up north. Campus next turn for Jacques. Jacques getting quite a few cities down here. There's going to be city 5 and 6 here pretty soon. Looking over at Warbringer. Warbringer sitting on 4 cities, working on 5, 6, and 7. Looks like getting some builders out and into the foray. Interesting. Falcon looking to do a super aggressive forward settle against Mike, it's looking like. El Cid's still up for grabs, but that'll be ending shortly. Swordsman coming online now. Oof. Mike really looking to make the most of that Defender of the Faith, getting plenty of religious spread going on. That being the case, there is a lot of passive spread occurring, and there's no religion in sight for the opposing team. That said, taking a quick look here, Warbringer does suzerain, of course, the cultural city-state near him. Blaze took Hora. Hans took Zanzibar. Jska, of course, has Lisbon. Bandar Brunei is now contested. Jska has also taken Auckland, and Warbringer has taken Grenada. Don't sound like much at the moment, but they could be a huge deal down the road. Lots of wounded units here on Jessica's side of the front. Gonna have to be very careful. Might lose the archer. That being the case, lots to do, plenty to see. Are the archers in the back that were looking for the scout are now moving forward because of the death of said scout. And honestly, with the chariot archers here to provide a little bit of cover as well, it looks like our Ottoman player here is going to be forced back. Ibrahim is going to be assigned to the city in 3 turns, though, and that unique governor is nothing to sneeze at. Pretty far out there settle for Jacques. Oof. Lots of things going on here on the map. This settler's actually moving forward aggressively. If it weren't for the aid of our ally, I'd be very concerned about this, because the horses have come west as well. And it looks like these units are just here. Oh, we do have... We are paused. I'm going to try and find out what's going on. And I can't because they've blocked the amount of players that could be in a room to 4. That said, I was very convinced that MSM looked like this really favorable position, but Smol is doing an excellent job here. You know, these players have come to represent their clans and communities and are doing a phenomenal job. I was incredibly impressed with the Iron Man, and even then, you know, this 4v4 has been excellent teamwork-wise. Being able to watch the gold on the banner juggle back and forth constantly. And as you can see it in the units as they're being purchased mid-turn, that even on back-to-back turns, tile grabs and other things of that nature, these teams are working together. They're well coordinated. They're focused, not working as 4 players, but as 4 teammates. And it just goes back to what I said about how different the mindset you have to have from a free-for-all to a team game. Because in free-for-all, you can't really rely on things like that, whereas a team game, you rely entirely on it, because your ability to do things together like that is what will carry you through. Making sure everybody is ready and good to go. Got a plus from Small. Is MSM ready? Making sure both teams are prepared. Hans joined. There we go. Confirmed through the game. Definitely don't want to throw an unpause if, you know, teams aren't ready because someone wasn't fully loaded in. Think we need a moment. Alright. It's interesting. Okay, both teams are ready. Both teams are ready. Let's get unpauses out. Who knows how many people paused, so... Jacques, unpause! Okay, what's going on here? Is Jacques AFK or something? There we go. See, I can't do the countdown, you know, I'm not the one who paused. Let's say we have a horse. Check it out. Volkia here. Now, of course, this commercial city stays controlled by Blaze, which means it's going to plague the city of Fjoldi after dealing with the horsemen. Now, there is a general that got kicked back because of the combat here. However, these units have regrouped down here to the south, and that is going to result in this settle being a lot safer than it might normally be. It has excellent defensible terrain. They have legions and archers with a general against potential swords and archers. Michael has a flood of archers right here. This is literally a bullet hell nightmare for these chariots that they try to push in. And even the horses, they'll just get gunned down. That said, we do have the retreating Ottoman forces here getting harassed by these chariots. Jska moving forward aggressively with a little support from the teammate. We do have the pyramids getting picked up by Jacques. Not a big surprise. Nubia generally will spawn near or in a desert in order to make this a quick, easy grab. Lots of potato archers here, you know, ready in position. I wonder if this is going to be some sort of timing push or if Jacques... Yep, it looks like Jacques is looking for a timing attack here with a storm of archers. That said, Blaze is looking to get another settler out. It's just like Grapefruit said earlier. Blaze is playing rather greedy with this. It's because Blaze is being given the space to do so. He's got to be careful because he has no information outside of these units that are right here. This is all that Blaze is able to see. And because of that, there's no telling or showing, other than base combat strength of the player going up, that military units are being produced. As you can see, Jacques is sitting at a 249 military score, but that can mean a lot of different varieties of units. Now, of course, some of the top tier players here that are here, some of them even have the military score that each unit provides. Some have some of them memorized, so they might know exactly what those units are or could be. Some do, some don't, but knowledge is power in these games. Let's take a look at these districts being plopped down here. We do have the campus, holy sites, and that's next to a commercial hub, or a suguba, as you can see, with another one being placed underway here. That's a 6 gold. That's a 9. Oh my gosh, so good. Like this is all a giant adjacency stack, and I absolutely love this. Mike, if you watch this video after the game, I absolutely love what you did here. It's fantastic. And we do have some more interesting things going on with the city-states. We're going to pay a little more attention to this war over here. And it looks like Ubermensch's forces are being pushed further and further back here by the combined efforts of Jska and Hans here. Now, Jska lost the archer that was up here, but has 2 more in the back that are moving forward slowly over the hills. But soon, this city's going to get to be put down. It could be settled as early as now, but they might choose to settle on the horse instead. We'll have to see what the decision is there. Regardless of this decision, there's a lot of pressure now on Ubermensch. He had a sizable force of 2 swords and 6 archers, but because of the combined efforts of 2 players against him on that 2v1 we mentioned at the start that might happen, because of those efforts of working together as a team, they were able to rout his forces and push them back, and now they're cleaning them up as they try to retreat. They have to be careful, though, because the unique governor bonuses for the Ottoman Empire is actually really strong, and it can provide a lot of really interesting bonuses that other governors simply don't apply. That being the case, Hans does feel the pressure's been alleviated, switching back to settler production now to get more cities. It looks like the plan for Small is to try and kill or at least irrelevancy Ubermensch so that Jska can take the entire coast. And they're going to have Hans take everything here from the top of the river all the way down to the bottom of the continent here. And it looks like they're just trying to make a giant wall, basically, of their influence. And it's actually not that bad of an idea. Jacques is over here to the northeast. Sooner or later is going to be able to get those juicy trade routes all the way through to the Egyptian ally for that bonus. And that affects, of course, both of them. They both get one side of that bonus, which is absolutely amazing. That being the case, Rome is just sitting back, enjoying the laurels, however, is not resting on them, is instead gearing up to take defensive positions in order to prevent Mike from feeling comfortable. Now, we did have some city-states swap over there. We will be taking a look at that shortly. I am highly interested in this, though. All of these horses and the archer with the sword, this should be highly concerning to the Roman player here of Falcon, because these horses can run down and around and kill this archer. And it looks like instead Blaze is going to go the opposite direction with this. Interesting. It looks like getting up the siege of Kila. Yep, Cahokia being taken and secured by Blaze here. These archers are going to start plugging the city. Warbringer, however, is just moving troops aggressively northwest and west. in order to make sure there's no more scouts, there's nothing that's going to come his way, and he can just straight out Sim City behind all this. However, Domrays are under construction here, being trained up. We'll have to see how that goes. I'd like to see a lot more cities come out for the Khmer player and a lot more infrastructure to provide the team. And I'd really like to see these units all go westward into Blaze's territory to be prep work for upgrades and promotions. That said, the city of Shot is going to deny a settle that would have been able to be right here for Mike. That being the case, there is a settle right here that can be taken. We are going to throw up the religious lens real quick because I do want to see the pressures being applied. Looks like we're not going to be able to see the numbers until the turnover. There we go. Let's throw up the lens. Now we do have a lot of passive spread pressure going through. Converts in 2, converts in 10, converts in 6, 5. You know, we're going to ignore the superfluous numbers in the hundreds. But 7 turns, 4 turns. As these cities next turn, as these cities slowly convert, they're going to be applying pressure to those cities with those outrageous numbers. Like the one out west that had 327 turns. But this religion is going to be passively overtaking if they're not careful. If they aren't watching it, they very well could lose to a religious victory. I really wish I knew what was going on. This game has always been terrifying to me. Nate Chance, how's it going? Well, I mean, ask away. You know, these are, you know, there's only dumb questions one that's not asked, you know? And with that in mind, you know, this is a 4v4 game between two teams, between Clan MSM and Clan Smol. And they're working together to try and make up units, make an army, their infrastructure, their civilizations, their countries, in order to overtake the enemy. That said, we do have campus coming down for Hans as well. We haven't looked at Great People in a while, and the reason for that is that Yulcid hasn't been taken up yet. And I wonder if it's because Rome is right behind and they're hoping some of their allies that are generating points will catch up to Cap just in case. There's a really good, best way to put this, a really good scientist behind that one, such as Hypatia. We do have 4 cities out right now for our Ottoman player. Have swords coming out behind all this. These chariot archers just sitting back for the time being. They're going to need to get on hills, so they're going to start getting pegged at. Yep, that's what I'm talking about. They get the 3, well, actually, they got the 3 shots onto the archer there, which is actually quite impressive. Now, with the horses, more horses coming out, more aggressive units, Hans is having to send some more of his horses west. Now, he does have a settler out to secure another settle, and then we could be looking up north here or onto the bananas, maybe even outside the bananas to get an aqueduct to the river. We'll have to see what happens there. May save the settle down here for Jska. We'll have to see what happens. That said, we do have a quadrime coming in to start poking and irritating these units on the coast. Look at all these units by Jacques just lined up to cause Blaze no end of hell. And this goes back to scouting. If these scouts weren't sitting here fortified and were poking in to see what was going on, if Jacques knew that Blaze's army was entirely south and he had nothing in reserve, he would surge forward into this. and he would do a whole lot of damage. That said, this legion is on the move aggressively. Archers pulling back a little bit, horse and the sword over here. It looks like Blaze is content on fortifying up and just sitting back to sim a bit, because he's concerned about jumping down, revealing the entire army down there, only to have Jacques' army come in from behind if possible. Now Blaze can't see that entire force either. Neither of them have really actively scouted one another. And with this, now this is on a plain, it's not on a plains hill, which means it doesn't have the bonus vision. That said, a bit of a stalemate between Mike and his two aggressing neighbors. Chariot archers just looking to cause as much trouble as possible, it's looking like. Now we do have a galley out here for Ubermensch to probably to try and kill off the squadron. But that's pretty dangerous to try and swing, because you're going to have, you could have a galley coming from behind, another galley show up. Because with England, England gets a lot of great admirals, as you can see here. Oh, ends up getting Crassus as well for the merchants. Well done. That being the case, Museum at Halicarnassus coming up at 11 turns here in the capital. Pingala coming in as well in 5. Take a look at the great people next. Merchant is Calais. Builder getting purchased by Hans. Horses continuing to move west, just inching forward tile by tile though. Hans not over eager to over reveal the cards in his hand, so to speak. That said, scientists, they have passed for now. They're going to let someone else take them. Aethelfeld be the next general. Rome will of course have gotten El Cid as expected. All the admirals going to England, nobody is contesting. No theater districts down just yet for that culture boom. But even then, I mean, the Egyptian player here looking at 71 culture. Absolutely phenomenal. Classical era is ending here. Now, Michael did get the Stonehenge, so there's going to be no easy profit for any of these other players here. We could see them actually trying to push for a religious victory. Now, of course, you know, 25 turns is excessive. 16 is pretty up there too. But this 4 and this 3 are going to pressure these other cities, just like Aricium is now applying pressure to Hattusa and Cumae. It's going to be really interesting to see now, because you know, these numbers were in the hundreds before. Now look at them. 50s, 80s, 80s, 50s. 7 turns here, 2 turns there. All those that are going to keep, they're going to keep cycling through. And it's just going to keep applying more and more pressure until another religion comes in to interfere. And that's not going to be the case. We do need to keep an eye on this. Market coming down. It looks like Han really buckling in, trying to secure that economy for the team. You know what? I'll look next turn. Too close to end a turn. That said, sees a galley coming around, pulls a quadrine back. Admiral's coming forward with 2 galleys. Is gonna go out of his way to sink that galley. That being the case, there is a harbor coming online for Ubermensch in 5 turns, assuming he sticks it out. With horses showing up in vision now, Ubermensch might be getting a little worried here. Doesn't have a ton of military units and wants to try and at least contest a bit with the admirals, but I don't see that being the case. That being the way it is, however, we do need to pay attention here to Blaze's Inca at 62 science. Whew. 43 culture. 48 science for the Egypt player here. Like, these scores are great. Of course, they're in a golden era, so they get the bonuses for that associated with, but these bonuses are huge right now, and they'll disappear when they no longer have them. But there we go. Hipasha picked up by our Ottoman player here, who grabbed. All right, so Blaze ended up grabbing Yul Cid. Hipasha went to Ubermensch, and Aryabhata is going to be the next one up. Next merchant is going to be Xayj. This, oh my goodness. Nah, they can't wait. They're going to take it. Ms. Rome will get it next turn. Walls coming online. Abandons the dock, gets the walls. Crassus here is grabbing tiles for Jessica's cities in order to push forward. It being the way it is. And there's another settler coming out too. We do have a Corsair. This is a fairly big deal here. That is essentially a tier 2 horse unit for those that are unfamiliar. You have the skirmisher for the recon upgrade. You have the horse. And at castles, the Corsair, light cavalry. A lot of good things going around the entire map right now. It's a really good play. And holy crap. That is a lot of crossbowmen. Now, Blaze also has a crossbow. However, he only has one crossbow, the walls, and a sword up here. Seeing all this move forward, he needs to switch gears into military now, and hopefully his production can churn out these units incredibly quickly. All the gold was pulled over to the Nubian player in order to pull this off. Really making the most of Egypt's amazing economy right now, of Jessica's, England's amazing economy. And this all comes back to what I was saying about team play, working together. Builder comes out. We do have the crossbow coming on in. These walls are not going to last long. What is the plan? Crossbow coming out in 4 turns in the capital, but what's going on in the east? Units are fortified up. They're not moving west. Even has the Domray just sitting back, just spreading the religion around in order to generate more. Military war moves have stopped in the east for now. Hey Munch, how's it going? Not looking for MSM. Honestly, that's really gonna depend. I mean, Smol looks really good right now, and they have for a while. They've been very well coordinated this game. Honestly, the spawns for this game were really good for both groups. I was really scared for Ubermensch at the start for the 2v1. But because of how I saw, Blaze was rather isolated a little bit. Warbringer was super isolated. Like, in Sim City to the heart's content. Not great mountain adjacencies, but Mike was right here next to Blaze. Mike needs to send units east. That, or send units up through here to start messing with him, with Jacques. It's going to take a long while for those units to get there. But he either has to send units this way to help, or send units this way and start taking stuff. And there are more horses coming behind this as well. We do have a city-state contention. Bandar Brunei, secured by Falcon with 9 envoys. Akkad for Hans with 11. Blaze does pick up non-Madol as well. Warbringer taking Granada, keeping it, raised it up to 5. This is going to be really, really tight. No science city-states makes it interesting. Yeah, I mean, I agree. Now, there was a science city-state. It's Hattusa, but it was taken by the Roman player Falcon. But it was the only one. But it was also taken before it made a campus, so there might as well not have been one. These walls are about to come crashing down. What is the plan here for MSM? What are they wanting to do? The city is sieged. There are even more units coming behind this as well. This is dangerous. This looks like more simming coming out of Mike here. They need to send some stuff. Now horses are coming back in order to help out, but there are crossbowmen that are unseen right now from Rome. So if Blaze pulls too much back and Rome Falcon is able to smell blood in the water, nah, he's just moving the crossbows up. He's gonna reveal them. Smol looking in a really dominant position right now. We'll have to see if they are able to really seal the deal. Now walls are coming up next turn in the capital for the Ottomans. Ooh, it's going to be close. Not a lot of gold floating around. Now our Ottoman player's sitting on 327, 269 on Blaze. We'll have to see how this gets used. Lots of gold. Watching that gold tick on each player. Good lord. Such strong economies here. And Kitakara is going to fall? Question mark? There it is. Kept seeing all the crossbows continue to shoot it, so I wasn't sure. You need a melee unit to take the city. Now the question is how much time does Blaze need in order to resecure himself to hold on? Because you have crossbows and a legion coming in from the south with a general. That's with El Cid. Nothing really going on with the western units at the moment. Units are kind of backing up in order to be more defensive in case Mike tries to do a big push. But other than that, not a lot going on across the board military-wise. None of the units from Warbringer are heading west. Warbringer is just simming away, which is what's expected. You know, he's the isolated player. He should be simming. But the units he does have, I'm surprised they're not going west. Or were not going west, at least to help out. No pressure from Hans onto Michael. Again, you know, I'm surprised. I'm wondering if this heavy chariot's going to get turned into a knight, and they're going to send knights over to try and help. That could be a pretty big play. They have the gold on the team for it. Yeah, they definitely have the gold on the team. Now, Khmer doesn't have a lot of gold, but that's because I believe Khmer's being told to just sim. Sim, 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 sim. Not quite enough to take the city. That said, we do have the crossbows taking shots on the city. Archer is sitting in there at city center to try and get everything locked in place. Walls are under construction. Molly gonna make a move with the unique unit. Yeah, probably. I mean, their team has the economy to do it, but it's a question of will Blaze be able to defend long enough for him to hit that timing. Now that being the case, Jessica did get Mausoleum at Halicarnassus. Crossbows are picking off these units. Now Blaze has another crossbow coming out in his capital next turn, and that's going to be super helpful. However, it is going to be coming out... It's going to come out at the encampment, though, not the city center. Now, Bandar Brunei's units were levied. We didn't see that in the background because there was no reason to really watch the lower right corner. However, these units are being used to control and take Cahokia, and that's what is allowing Rome to act so aggressively, not needing to defend Petuli anymore. Jessica is just continuing to build up the coast, trying to lay waste, along with Hans, to the Ottoman capital here of MSM. That being the case, units are being produced and sent forward in the background as best as able. Jacques is simming behind this, making builders at each of the cities now, getting traders and trade routes going. Is confident with the attack going on at Kitakara. The team has the money to fund Molly doing an upgrade unique unit push, but this is a lot of crossbows with a lot of horseman support, and it's a little terrifying to say the least. All right, making the dedication really quick. Blaze does retake Kitakara, but this poor city's going to go down to 1 pop eventually from all the retakes. But Blaze is doing it to buy time because it's making these units constantly fight and refight over the city as opposed to pushing deeper. So that it does have meaning, it is important, it is getting things done. So by all means, don't think it's a waste of time or you say, "Oh, that's so dumb." It's not. Switches off to get the walls up, 2-turn walls. Should be enough because you should be able to get the crossbow into the city center next turn. That being said, I mean, Wanuku is in quite a bit of trouble here with the triple crossbow legion threat with the general. And these archers are trying to shoot and do some damage onto the crossbowmen, but at the very least, he can't siege Wanuku because he can't get to this back tile. Getting walls up in Kitakara, it looks like. Lots of chariots coming out, getting ready for that timing, just like you said, Munch. I'm going to have to see if it will be enough. That said, they do have the siege on the Ottoman capital, but they're not doing damage to it yet. Nubia could get in there and take some of those Mali to Inca trade routes. Yeah. Has to know they're there first, though. I mean, you could assume they're there because you see the road, but doesn't have access to the road yet because it's a double hill here, mountains on both sides. Isn't on the hill here, it's you just can't see it. Now that said, you can see the road heading this way. So he knows there's a trade route or was a trade route there. That said, I am going to take a quick look at this. I have to look and see what the... Alright, so what's getting voted on by each team right now? Production towards the district. No buildings built in the district. Districts by the player act as a culture bomb. Players' borders won't grow. Be a culture at least. And then, of course, diplomatic victory points. I'm, of course, shift entering this. Each team's going to be discussing what they're wanting to do here. That being the case, we're going to take advantage. Look around a little bit. See where the pressure is going to be. Because if they are going to be, yeah, +6, +20, woof. +8, yeah, these are some high pressure values. 24, 8, 6, and there's no religion on the opposing team, so there is potential for a religious victory swing. Players are going to have to be careful. That said, I mean, look at the amount of gold being generated by that team. You get the 442 bank. Oh, here's the results. Commercial hub buildings, extra production. Cleopatra districts are going to be culture bombed. And Warbringer got the diplomacy victory points. Alright, we have chariots getting chopped here. Unique units must be right around the corner. Is getting all of his chariots positioned in Blaze's territory for the upgrade. Is going to have to be very careful here. If he removes too much from the border with Hans, Hans could surge forward. That would be very, very dangerous. Did lose Wanuku, however, 5 turns it'll flip into open rebellion, so they're not going to be able to hold it for particularly long. I was hoping to see some timer values, but it's not showing. Converts in 10, 13. Probably converts next turn. 55, 24, 91. Those values are absurdly high. There's a reason I keep checking it. It's because they have the ability to actually get that religious victory. It is possible. Now the big thing here to notice, looking at the banners as we go turn to turn, is look at Egypt's science and culture. 80 science a turn, 70 culture a turn. Next closest person, Rome, 78-45. You know, and then you go down from there, 55-61 Nubia, 41-55 Khmer, 62-30 Inca, and that's with losing a city, 62-30 Inca. Like, you know, several of the players are a lot closer than others. Of course, our Ottoman player Ubermensch is in a really tight spot right now, trying his best to hold on. So far, doing a great job. That said, we do have Blaze's crossbow kind of got blocked from going into the capital. Might have to retreat into the district here. More horses getting made. When will Mali be able to do this? Oh, here we go. Mandakalu Cavalry. Kind of hoping to see them on this side upgrade, not this side. Still has tons of gold. Falcon poking forward with these horses. Smells blood in the water. Most of his forces concentrated in the southeast right now. Did manage to get the loyalty flip back around though. I'm just kind of hoping to see more of these chariots upgrade than the ones that are away from his teammate, but I wonder if they've switched gears to the plan and they are now looking at killing off Hans instead of trying to save Blaze. I'm not too sure what their plan is here. However, Blaze did get the walls up at his capital, so does have that going for him. Let's see. I know I keep checking the lens. It's not for everybody, but you'd be surprised how fast this can sneak up when you have this many players with multiple cities and that much congestion. That turns into exponentially increasing religious pressure, and it spreads that much faster. And as you can see, there's only 2 religions. No one's bothering to get others. Protestantism managed to pick up church property and meeting house. I mean, the Mali player could get a lot done, especially with that church property. Every city fallen religion, extra 2 gold per turn. That's more units to help the team. That's more gold for the team to buy what they need as they're able to. Looks like Blaze is going to try and hold on, but is willing to sack the capital if necessary, moving the crossbow down to Ayashushu. Now, crossbow is going to see the chariot here from Mali. And this is going to be difficult to push. This horse won't be, because it's in a marsh. That's a minus to defense, but we could see quite the play here. And we are going to see these trade routes get plundered for sure. Alright. What do we got going on? Horse comes forward onto the hill. Said Blaze is sitting on a crossbow here. Horse is coming out of Wanuku. Oh, yes. And, you know, Antananarivo. God, I had to slow down to say that one. This is starting to mess with these units here as well. They are only warriors and archers, but damage is damage. Looks like these chariots are going to be defending a little bit. You know, these Mendikalu cavalry are poising up here to attack the city. But is it going to be enough? I mean, theocracy government picked up. You know, taking a look at the lens here to see what we got working with converts in 10 turns. That's going to do quite a bit. 11 turns, 4 turns. That's going to help. 7 turns. It's all about, you know, these quick conversions if they can get them. And because they're not doing it with missionaries, the enemy team may not be paying attention for it. Now, of course, you know, 11 turns here, shots already converted. This missionary is going to convert a COD, and that's going to, in turn, put pressure elsewhere. You know, we could, I mean, it just depends. It depends on how long Blaze can hold. Because right now, they are all in on Blaze, trying to 2v1, and they're trying to 2v1 their Ottoman player Ubermensch as well. Now, Ubermensch was completely isolated in the 2v1, unless the Mali player went all in against Hans. But Hans has muskets. Now, the Khmer player did kind of sneak up with the science and the culture to 6772. But Rome, look at the science, 9548, 5962. I mean, 8083. Yeah, Egypt's got muskets online now. No, there's only 2. 3 if you count the one up here, potentially 4 from the levied, but I mean, honestly, the bigger risk is these muskets getting overrun. Because look at all these units. If all these units come forward, and they could just surround and kill these off. The chariot, the crossbow. If these muskets, you know, don't move onto a tile and stay in the encampment, I guess. But these cities could get overrun, even at their higher city strength. Alright, capital does fall for the Ottoman player. Hans sending his units elsewhere. They did give the city to Jska with a caravel fleet, using one of the earlier admirals to make a fleet. which means that is an Admiral caravel fleet. It's not just a standard one. And the other two cities here are going to be under threat from that caravel fleet. I'm not sure if MSM can swing this. I think because their Khmer player doesn't have a big military either, but Khmer doesn't have a huge science generation. It has great culture, but Egypt's beating culture and science. But to be fair, that is because of these Sphinx, which are amazing. Michael DC. Warbringer DC. Oh, okay, there was a CC called. Alright. GG, that is the end of the game then, as Smol takes the victory over MSM. Well done, Smol. It was a good game all around. It was a great pleasure to cast. I hope everyone enjoyed watching it. This was a fantastic showcase of team play and how working as a team can really accomplish a whole lot. Because for a while, I mean, MSM looked like they were in a really good position, and through the ability to really work together, really coordinate, that's how Smol was able to really take this victory. So congratulations to Smol. Well played all around for everybody. Thanks for coming out. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you very much, Munch. I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I'm glad to be here. A big thanks out to everyone at CPL. Whether you're a part of the community, want to join the community, you know, it's a wonderful place to be and hang out. If you want to learn or get into Civ, there's coaches available. There's a novice program for learning the game and just getting better at it. And it's a wonderful place to be, and I hope to see you guys there. And I look forward to seeing you guys next time.